Big walleyes love them some spinnerbaits. There's a new product that guarantees you catch less fish, and the one that got away. No! That and more coming up right now on Target Walleye's Top 5 presented by Seafoam. Let's dive on in. We all have a fishing story of the one that got away, but this one from Jason Makala takes it to a whole new level. On the bright side, I guess he didn't lose his jigging wrap, so that's always nice. If that eyeball was about 3 times bigger, I'd say it belonged to this one-eyed walligator that Spencer Samplosky shared on his Instagram story the other day. I always find it impressive when fish are missing an eye, blind in one, sometimes blind in both, but they're still somehow able to just track down these baits and eat them like a boss. And still folks will catch a blind fish and say that you had to have been throwing fire tiger that day or they wouldn't have caught anything, right? Number 2. So Nebraska is technically considered the Midwest, but I'm going to go ahead and mentally slide it over to the Wild West after seeing this pair of big old spinnerbait eaters caught by Jess Bird out of Lake McConaughey.
All right.
Apparently trolling and casting spinnerbaits around flooded timber and shallow rocks is something that folks do all the time on Lake McConaughey, and it's won numerous local derbies and even national level tournaments there. Not just there, but also in the Dakotas too. Spinnerbaits catch walleyes around where I'm at in central Minnesota, and every time I catch one on a spinnerbait, it's a really good one, like a 24 to 28 incher, just tanks. But most still refuse to use them because they're worried about what their buddies are gonna say.
Are you looking at, butthead?
Number 3. What in the Elon Musk is this thing? Apparently, that is Mercury's 600 horsepower Verado, a 7.6 liter V12, and man is it ever a tall drink of water. And you probably also noticed that it has the industry's first steerable gear case that pivots separately underwater while the power head remains in place. And I guess one of the main reasons for that is so that some of those really big boats that you see with multiple outboards are able to save space and stack on stack on stack on stack on stack. Multiple outboards side by side. More power, baby. Of course, they're not only for boats running multiple outboards. In fact, I actually saw a video online of one of those 600s on the back of a Bennington pontoon. Can you imagine how fast that thing would scoot? Considering there's walleye rigs out there already sporting 450s on the back, you know it's just a matter of time before that thing comes over to this side of the boating world. So who's it gonna be? Who's gonna be the first one to slap one of those on a walleye rig so that they have room to run 2 talons, a kicker, and a Minn Kota Vantage all on the back and still be able to steer? It's not gonna be me, but don't let that stop you. It'll be fun to look at. Number 4. I found it. The only fishing product in the entire world that is specifically designed so that you catch less fish.
But why?
It's called the Toddy Stopper from Gambler, and it's designed for folks that are pre-fishing for upcoming tournaments. So it's this little plastic Dealio that Dealio? It's this little plastic Dealio that attaches onto the hook point so that when you get a bite, you can shake that fish off, not catch it on purpose, leave it alone, but know that there's fish in that area so you can come back on game day and catch them when it counts instead of winning practice. Of course, depending on what you're using, and something people have been doing for years is just clipping the hooks on their baits, but nobody wants to do that when you're throwing something like a Z-Man chatterbait, a jackhammer that runs $20-ish a pop. I definitely see this new product being more of a thing in the bass tourney world, that side of things, but it's just kind of interesting how when you think you've seen it all, you haven't. Number 5. If you spend enough time on the water, you're just bound to come across strange things, unusual catches, oddball stuff that you just don't see every day. Unless you're Trevor Murphy, apparently, because that kind of oddball stuff just seems to follow him around. I came across a couple of his photos on Instagram, and in the same day, he caught a humpback walleye, and then this crazy skinny pike that looks like it could hide behind a toothpick. So I clicked on his profile to just snoop around, and the very last post prior to that one was a giant 29.5-inch walleye that they had caught on Rainy River while pulling 3-way rigs with Rapple original floaters, and that giant fish had a 12-inch sauger down its throat, yet apparently still thought it was hungry. Trevor should probably be required to have a GoPro strapped to his body and recording anytime he hits the water. I would definitely tune in. Alright, that wraps up this week's top 5. A big shout out to Seafoam for keeping us running smooth and making this video series possible. If you're liking what you're seeing, do me a favor and drop a comment down below. And if you want more walleye fishing goodness like this, sign up for our free Target Walleye emails every Wednesday and Friday at targetwalleye.com. And I'll see you back in 7.